Have you ever noticed someone asking you something that felt slightly unnecessary? Almost like they already knew the answer? It wasn't a real question, it was a probe. How people? Probe your boundaries doesn't usually look like confrontation. It looks like curiosity. It looks like harmless requests. It looks like mild pressure disguised as normal interaction. And most of the time it passes without being labeled. It starts with something small. Can you just handle this? Do you mind if we change the plan? Are you okay with that? On the surface, these are neutral phrases, but the tone, the timing, the setting, those are what matter. The question is not about logistics, it's about elasticity. What it feels like internally is subtle tension, a moment where you evaluate the cost of pushing back. You calculate harmony. You assess whether resistance would make you look difficult. And often, because the request is small, you agree. Not because you want to, because it feels easier. That ease becomes information. Boundary probing is rarely aggressive. It is incremental. Someone makes a slightly unreasonable request and observes your reaction. Someone reframes your preference as optional. Someone pushes a timeline closer just to see if you compress yourself to fit it. Each move is small enough to deny if confronted. That ambiguity protects the probe. The psychological mechanism behind this is calibration through compliance. Social systems constantly measure who absorbs inconvenience and who reflects it. The person who consistently adjusts becomes predictable. Predictable people are easier to move within hierarchy. Often this is not conscious manipulation. People test unconsciously. They are scanning for resistance thresholds. They are mapping where friction begins. If friction never appears, the boundary line moves. Notice how repetition builds. The first probe is polite, the second is firmer, the third is assumed. What began as a question turns into expectation. The shift feels gradual because it is. The discomfort you felt at the beginning was not random, it was recognition, a boundary being approached. When that signal is overridden repeatedly in favor of maintaining smooth interaction, the internal threshold weakens. Watch what changes when the automatic yes does not arrive immediately. When the pause extends slightly. When the response is neutral instead of accommodating. The probe often recalibrates because the data changes. Boundary testing thrives in ambiguity. It survives when reactions are overmanaged. It escalates when compliance is frictionless. And once you begin seeing those small, almost deniable requests as measurements rather than logistics, the dynamic becomes visible. What once felt like being easygoing starts looking like structural positioning.